So I wanted to do a little thought experiment with you guys about loot boxes in gaming and Counter-Strike and how Corona has affected things and how it could increase over the next year or so. So to start off, I think most of the things I'm going to talk about here are very unlikely and should be taken with a grain of salt because the chances of them happening are very low. But I think it's still a good conversation to have, it's still a good thought process to go through yourself. So in regards to loot boxes, there has always been an attack on loot boxes within the last 5 or 10 years or so. It's become a really big discussion in Europe, and other countries and other parts of the world have also seen this discussion. In Belgium, they were the first ones to take action back in 2018 when they banned loot boxes. Now luckily, Valve found a way around it. And I think this says a lot about Valve. They will find a way around any type of ruling to find a way to keep their market alive. They care so much about the markets, they will do anything for it. So what happened in Belgium? Well, if you know the P250 X-ray case, it actually originated in Belgium. There was an update that came out for the people that lived in Belgium or at least had an IP in Belgium. What happened is that there was an attack on loot boxes in Belgium, they banned it all, and what Valve did is they found a way around it. Now what you have to do in Belgium after this update is you x-ray a case, and then you can decide to buy it or not. If you decide not to buy it, you can't do anything on the market. But if you do buy it, then it goes through like normal. So even though Belgium tried their hardest to shut down loot boxes in gaming, Valve found a way around it, which says a lot about the way they run their business, and the way they run Counter-Strike and loot boxes in Counter-Strike. They care about it a lot. But there's only so much a company can do. Valve is very powerful, but there are governments involved, there are other massive companies involved, they only have so much power. So what happens if things really get attacked? Now I think the significant part of this is Corona has really shut things down. These were talks all the way through 2018, even 2019 these talks were happening, but Corona has really shut things down. So if you're watching this video and you went like, oh, I forgot about that, or I didn't even know that was happening, that's because it's been so long because of Corona since these talks have happened. So assuming we come to some sort of equilibrium with the Corona, either we get used to the current state of the world, or Corona we find a vaccine or whatever, we have to consider what would happen with loot boxes, because discussions will open up again, slowly but surely. So what happens if everywhere across the world you have to x-ray your case to open it? That is very concerning if you're someone that owns skins or invests in the CS market, because that means Valve has been attacked for their services all across the world. If Valve goes through with that, that means they are very concerned about the current state of what people think about loot boxes and what could happen if they don't abide by these rules. What happens when Valve gets scared and does an update like that? Well, the community gets scared also. What happens when the community gets scared? People are mass selling. What happens when people mass sell? The economy crashes. And personally, I would say if an update like that does come out, I don't think that update could go through and people would just blow it off like it's nothing. I think people would actually be very concerned. Now let's take it one step further. What if loot boxes get shut down? What if cases and capsules you can't even open them in Counter-Strike anymore? Now I think this is the most unlikely possibility. There's probably less than a 1% chance that this will happen, but it's still something you should consider. If loot boxes get shut down, Counter-Strike gets shut down. If you have a $10,000 inventory, you now have a $10 inventory. And this is something I have personally been concerned about. Because I work a full-time job, I'm not too worried about it if my inventory gets completely banned, but it would still suck to lose like $5,000 worth of items. If I would have cashed out those $5,000 a week earlier, I could have bought a car or something. So even though it's a teeny tiny possibility and Valve will try their hardest to fight for it, you still have to consider the possibility that maybe this does happen. Now let's talk about why this is such a big conversation. The first one would be underage gambling. Now you can have your own opinions, but if you don't think that cases and capsules in Counter-Strike are gambling, your opinion is wrong. Cases and capsules fit the definition of gambling. They are as much gambling as gambling could be. It is just a gambling simulator when you open up a case. Now there is really no age limitation on Counter-Strike. Think about when you pop in an MM game and you play with a 14 or 15 year old. Does that 14 or 15-year-old have skins? Probably yes. Did he open them from a case? Probably one or two of them at least. Now I'll see if I can find the article and post when I'm editing this, but there is one massive instance where some kid was stealing thousands of dollars from his parents just to gamble in Counter-Strike. I'm sure there are kids that are using their parents' money to gamble in Counter-Strike. I almost guarantee that's happening daily. And as the world goes back to normal, that will become a bigger concern in the average person's mind. Especially after Corona happened, because everyone is inside, everyone is playing games, watching movies, doing anything to pass the time. There's so much information for governments and other large businesses to work with after Corona happened. Another one that probably doesn't play a super big role on its own but could contribute to some of the decisions made is that this is a free market. There's no taxing. Now usually when you gamble, if you buy a lottery ticket or if you gamble on like a casino or something like that, usually there are taxes. There are government regulations on these things. But in Counter-Strike, if you open a case and you get like a $5,000 knife, zero taxes. The only tax is the Steam tax. And I guarantee if the governments could get their hands on some of that money, they would if they could. Valve could probably stand on their feet with this one. I think they have a pretty good fight against that. Because it's just like a skin, it's not actual money. It's the players that give it value, not Valve themselves. But still, it's something they would push for, and it's something that would make this fight even harder. And then one of the big ones that can contribute to the third-party markets and already has is skins laundering. In my opinion, it's pretty simple. You steal someone's credit card, you buy a skin off of the Steam markets, you trade it to a third-party site, you use that third-party site money, give it to PayPal. It's really hard to trace that. There's a lot going on there. Now I have no statistics on this, but if you had to ask me, I would say this was probably a pretty big issue. Probably thousands of dollars a day was stolen. It's just way too easy to not happen all the time. I guarantee there were people abusing this system. That's just how it goes online. And the way this has affected the market is PayPal. If you have noticed that PayPal isn't really supporting any skin sites right now, this was a big reason. PayPal doesn't want any parts of CSGO skins or any other gaming skins. So what happens if everything gets shut down? If there's no way to sell your skin third party, prices will crash because at that point the only thing is selling your account. If we lose our third party sites in Counter-Strike, we lose the whole economy. But again, unlikely situation. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, they're pretty independent also, and I don't think any action will be taken against Counter-Strike when it goes to cryptocurrency, but correct me if I'm wrong. But here's why I don't think this is a likely option. We have seen Valve with Belgium, they found a way around the system, but we have also seen back when the gambling scandals happened, with Syndicates and Team Martin and Phantom Lord, that Valve was really in trouble there. And they basically sent out a letter to all of the gambling sites that they have to shut down or else they will shut them down. And what happened? Well, if you abided by their rules, not really anything happened. Honestly, you could still operate. They wanted you to shut down, but if you just shut down for a little bit and reopened and didn't do anything super sketchy, they would actually leave you. Now the sites that did have scandals going on, they got insta-banned. They were out of there quick. But even something like OP Skins, they were still open at this time. The only reason OP Skins got banned is they were trying to find any way possible to get around Valve's rules. If you ask me, OP Skins deserved it and they were stupid for what they did. But nowadays we still have Bitskins, we have Skin Baron. All of these sites were against Valve's rules, but they are still allowed to exist. If Valve is told to shut down everything that they have, they will do the bare minimum and they will find any way around it that they can. And that is why I have faith in Valve to keep the economy going. But don't take my word for it, use the information that I provided, do your own research, and make your best judgment call. If you are someone that has $20,000 worth of Counter-Strike skins and $5 in your bank account, maybe you want to consider before this Corona thing starts to settle down, that maybe you want to consider selling off some of your items before anything possibly happens. But if you had to ask me, I don't think anything substantial will happen anytime soon or in the future.